and welcome back to another episode of Outcasts to Icons. It's season 10. That's kinda nuts. We're only like 50 something episodes in and we're on season 10. If you have been enjoying the series, of course, up to this point, smash a like. It does help out the channel and all that jazz. Before we get into anything else, I just want to quickly thank new patrons. And this week, of course, it is Sebastian Frinzer. So thank you very much, mate. And thank you to everybody else over there as well. You keep the channel going, in a way. Not even in a way, actually. Just Regan Booty. I showed you him in the last episode. You knew he was coming. He's here. Oh, isn't it nice? But also in other nice news, and I thought you guys would probably know about this already, Regan Booty in real life has signed for Maidstone United, which is very, very nice. It's nice to see him back at a club. Hopefully you can start to... I think he's had a lot of injury trouble in his career, which is a shame because I really do feel like there's a good player under there, and hopefully this is the moment where he turns things around and really can start pushing back up the leagues with his career. So that's awesome. You might be thinking... It's 11th of July. That seems very early to come back for a transfer video. Yeah, I thought so too. Let me explain. Croatia have fallen quite deep as far as their coefficient goes, and we know all about that from Tromsø stuff, and I think it's probably just because they're the only side, Dinamo Zagreb that is, that are actually managing to generate anything as far as Europe goes, and even they seem to have struggled in recent years. So they're very, very low down. We start in the Champions Path first qualifying round, which is very, very low. So that's why we're starting today as well. But to be fair, the league actually starts the week after the second leg anyway. So we're going to play our first leg of the tie that we've got today, which is against Larn. So that's kind of interesting. But not as interesting as what could happen if we get through. And I say if, we really should be beating them. And that is because, obviously, they draw the first and second round at the same time. And if we were to get through and the right thing happens in the other tie, then we will be playing HJK in the next round of the Champions League, and I'm a big fan of that, to be honest, because dear. Firstly, we were presented with some really good news in that Vlade Strikic was happy to stay. I actually got a news article from my assistant saying I should have a chat with him about leaving to go to a bigger club, before he even came to me himself, which he actually didn't in the end. And I just sent Rocco Simic round with a crowbar, and hey, turns out Vlad was happy to stay, so that's really good. He still won't sign a new contract or talk to me, which is weird. Usually when you get the happy to stay, you can offer them a contract, but apparently not. But the key thing is he's still got 2 years left and an extension, and nobody's put a bid in more than 18 million right now, so I really don't think that Vlad at the moment is going to be leaving us, and that makes me happy. Believe me, that makes me happy. Now, as for transfers, it's been a bit of a difficult one for us so far. Now, there will be a load more transfers in the next video as well, because this is essentially going to be a two-parter, just because of the way this is broken down. We don't have a lot of scouts, so it's been hard to do some scouting. We have done a lot of it, and obviously the free transfers at this level are just not at the same level that they are when you're a bit lower. You have to really try hard with the scouting, and obviously I have done that. I've been doing it all day, because I wanted to try and find some real gems for us to bring in, and I think I found a few. One is very, very strange, but we'll talk about that in a minute. A couple of them haven't joined us yet that we're still in negotiations with, but they should join. And one of them annoyingly left it until after the registration for the Champions League, so he can't be in the squad for this game, but hopefully he will be able to join us in the next round if we get through. But I wanted to just quickly show you Filip Bracalo, because we were so close to bringing him back. So close. I saw my assistant actually recommended him when I was looking at some, or it was my doff actually. I asked him about transfer suggestions just because why the hell not, eh? I asked him and he came up with a few players. Usually there were really older players who were at like Premier League sides that we couldn't afford, so that's useful. But I noticed Filip Bracalo, who was actually at Chelsea as it goes, was there, and I thought, oh, maybe we could get him back on loan. So I put a loan bid in. That was all good. Chelsea then turned it down, and I was like, okay, even though he was listed for loan, but sure. I noticed that he was actually transfer listed, so I went straight in there, had a deal agreed. It said that he wanted to come back, of course, because he was our former player and everything. And then Leo just came and went, yeah, no, we'll have him instead. And I was a little bit annoyed, if I'm honest, because they paid less for him, and he's on less wages there too. I guess it's because of stature and stuff like that, but I thought, honestly, the fact that he was a former player of ours and it literally said he was itching to come back, essentially, that we were going to get him, it's frustrating because it literally would have cost us 9 million to bring Filip Bracalo in, and I thought that would have been a spectacular piece of business for us to bring a player of this kind of quality who used to play there for us back in, but sadly that has not been the case. I have signed another left back though, so hopefully that is good. I've also sold a few players. Well, one, I think, maybe two. It was actually only one. The first player out is Ben Wiles. He's gone to Burnley for, I think, 6.8 million in the end, 5.5 up front, and it rises over time. The main reason to get rid of Ben Wiles for me was because I never felt that we'd get any money for him more than this in the future, and it got a bit of wages off the bill, because we have had some players on quite high earners, like Connor Roberts was on nearly 50k a week. That's now been halved, which has very much been helpful to keep that wage bill down a little bit, but I just felt like it was the right time for Ben Wiles to move on, because I felt that we could find some other players down there that were maybe a bit younger, that we could just sort of reinvest that money into, so to get a decent chunk of change for him quite early in the window as well, I felt was a good deal for us. I know his value is higher than that now, but that's because Burnley. Now, obviously, you already knew about Regan Booty, but the first proper in after that is Anto Babic, a right back who's coming from Lokomotiva on a free transfer. Now, I mean, it shouldn't take a genius to work out why I was interested in this guy, quite simply. He's 19, 2.5 stars currently, which means he's a nice backup to Connor Roberts, has tremendous physicals so far, some really nice mentals as well, and frankly, with 16 tackling, 12 marking, could definitely get him to work on that, but at the moment I'm getting him to work on his crossing. They're still not even that bad technicals for a 19-year-old, so to get Anto Babic in, I felt was the right deal for us, because we do have good young players at this club, and I want to make, that's why I've been less likely to make some of the younger signings I have, just because I know that we've got some quality here as well, but this was too good to turn up for a free transfer. Next up is George Yorga. Now, this is who I actually bought in to essentially replace Ben Wiles and to give Candelaria a bit of a run for his money on that left-hand side. He's coming from Dinamo Bucharest for, well, 2.5 million up front, rising to like 4 point something, which I felt was a decent enough deal considering how much money we'd raked in from the Ben Wiles deal. And again, good tackling, decent-ish marking. His position is not too bad either. Again, all stuff he can work at. Decent dribbling as well. Crossing's only 8, but still loads of room to improve. 6 foot tall, which actually wasn't really in my considerations here, because the rest of his physicals are fantastic for someone who's only 20 years old. And I felt like we were getting a good deal out of it. He's on £7,000 a week, which is a lot for a younger player, but I felt like, honestly, he's got room to improve on that left-hand side, and that was one of the areas that we were a little bit weak in. We did lack a bit of depth. As you saw last season, we were constantly having to shuffle players into the left-back spot, and we could still end up doing that, but I feel like he's definitely a better option for that role long-term. So that's kind of cool. I'm pleased with him. He was one of my signings I'm most pleased with, in a way, actually. Well, that was until Fernando de Ana came in. Now, this is a weird one, because I've really only been scouting Eastern Europe and a little bit of Southern Europe, for the most part. That's where I've got my scouting range. But every now and then, and you'll notice this on your saves too, you'll get like reports from, I don't know if it's analyst reports, recruitment or what, from your scouts. And sometimes they'll throw in players from like River Plate or Gremio. Now, obviously, the non-EU thing we've got is a bit of an issue there, so I had to be careful at which ones I chose. I just offered some trials to them on a hope, and most of them rejected. Fernando de Ana did not reject. And he came in and I was like, damn. Now, his aggression is a little on the low side. That's the one downside for me. But 14 heading, 12 marking's not awful, 16 tackling as well. He does like a little bit of speed. That's the one downside to him for me, that he does like a bit of speed. I'm getting him to work on that to try and bump that up a little bit. Brilliant bravery as well. So I really do think he could be an aerial presence for us. And he's still only 18 years old. So for me, and it was 5 million in total was the deal, just a flat 5 million fee, and I was happy to pay it, honestly, because I really do think he's an excellent player. He reminds me a little bit of Crespin. And I actually did have a little look at Crespin, but out of the two, this guy is better, and Szeged wanted nearly as much money for Crespin. I think he must have signed a new deal there. They wanted like 3 point something million, and I would have rather paid 5 for this guy. So I did. One of the other things that makes me not so bothered about the whole non-EU thing in the league this season is that because we're going to be playing in Europe, hopefully, for a fair whack of the season, we're going to be rotating the squad around so much for the league games that we'll be able to rotate in and out without causing anyone any upsets, quite simply. And the last player that's coming for now, obviously there's Regan Booty as well, is Edwin Andersson, a Swedish left-sided player who's coming on loan from Southampton. I was looking at loans because the transfer market's been really tough. We're in one of those positions, and I found this with Tromsø sometimes, that we actually have a decent whack of change and decent rep. But we actually have a really good squad. The players at this club that they built before we got here are actually legitimately very good, like, for where they are. And it was really difficult to improve on a lot of areas. But I felt like the opportunity to bring someone like this guy in with his decent finishing kind of just does everything to a decent level. So I was very happy with that. Right-footed, right only as well. So it really will be inside forward material. And I was happy to do it. £22,000 a week he's on at Southampton. Now, they insisted on an optional fee. I tried to remove it and they were like, no. So I was like, okay. And the optional fee is £9 million, which is like nearly half his value. So it's definitely an interesting one. If he was to perform extremely well, whether I'd be tempted to trigger that, I don't know, particularly as he's a bit younger than perhaps some of our other players. Although we do still have Strock there too. So I don't want to push him too far down the order, but it is just nice to have a bit of depth because I felt like we had a really strong first 11 and a couple of players, but it did sort of drop off quite quickly after that. Now, that might not seem like a lot of transfers, and it isn't, but we've obviously had less time to really work on this time, so there will be more transfers next time, because there's 2 more in the pipeline already. In fact, one of them I'll show you now, because this is a bit weird. This is Daniel Mezga, and yes, he is brilliant. He is 17 years old, and has these attributes already. I can't believe it. He plays for Slaven Blupo, who've just been promoted to the top flight. The weird thing about this deal is that I completed this, or I thought I did, over a month ago. As in, I put the bid in, and as far as I know, I've offered him a contract. Nothing's happening. I know that sometimes they can take a while to secure the deal, but this has been over a month now, and I don't know what's holding the deal up at the moment. Now, there might just be some random reason for that, but it is very strange that this deal has just been sat there in my inbox. I wonder if I can figure out when exactly I put the bid in. It's so long ago that I can't even see it in my message filters. So I don't know what the hold-up is there. Hopefully it comes off because, well, he'd be very, very good. I can't even remember what the bid is. I think it's like 2 point something million, and we're sending a guy on loan, and I'd be happy to. He's very good for a 17-year-old and has incredible attributes, to be honest. Like, just outstanding attributes. So I kind of want to get this deal done because I think he can actually make an impact now. There is one other transfer in the pipeline right now. It's agreed, I think. It's just not been completely confirmed yet, but I'm going to save that one because it is massive. I'm amazed that if we pull this off, I'll be extremely impressed. Basically, I took the money that I was going to be spending on Bracalo and I funneled it into someone else in a totally different position. So that's essentially the situation. Right now, we play against Larn. And this is the other game we've got here. That we'll play the winner if we get through. I'm still being ifs because I just don't know with this team. HJK against Academia Pandev, which I assume is relating somehow to Goran Pandev. But I kind of feel like HJK are the stronger of the two sides there. So if we were to get through, we would end up probably playing HJK in the next video, which would be bloody awesome, to be honest, because, you know, revenge. Let us go. We won all our friendlies, as to be expected. Not scoring huge amounts of goals. You know, the 4s and 5s and 6s and whatnot in there. We did actually beat Siska. Like 4-0, which was quite surprising. So that was nice to see. Show that we could play against a better side or a decent side and perform very, very well in there instead. So tactics-wise, I've gone back to the pressing forward on this idea, but that's the only change I've made to it. I'm still not entirely convinced, but because at the end of the day, I just kind of want to have fun and make some Football Manager videos and tell a cool story. So that's definitely what we're going to be focusing more on from now. However, I do still like this cool shape, and I will continue to press with it because at the end of the day, it's played well for us in the past. So, selection advice, I'll do one now just so we can figure this out around here as well. See, we've got a few players on trial. Most of these guys won't see the light of day. Carl Allsop's an interesting one, potentially. Well, actually, no, less interesting now. Less interesting now. And there's a couple of other guys that might be interesting. Not entirely sure. So Strikic, Sobby, unfortunately Anderson can't play in this game, which is a bit of a shame. Simic on the right, Candelario, Hodak, Basilia, Robertson. I love how basically none of the new boys have got into this team. Okay, let's see. Who is there available? Let's just see who's actually around. So Deanna's there. Candelario is actually a really solid left back. And honestly, I'd be tempted to start him today just because he does have slightly better match fitness on account of joining us. You know, he'd been there the whole time and playing in a lot more of the friendlies. But I definitely want Diana on the bench. It feels weird making a load of transfers and then essentially starting the game with the exact same team. I did look for a more natural wide playmaker, but it's very difficult to find. Unfortunately, scouts, when they're scouting players and they don't have a lot of knowledge, tend to go for other attributes first when looking at right-sided wingers, and things like their passing and vision are not super prioritized, and it means it takes a long time to actually find anything about that. And also, it means that when you're doing the manual scouting sort of thing that I do, you can barely see any of that information, so you have to kind of just take punts on people. Unfortunately, Mihailovic is out with a twisted ankle for a little bit, which is a big shame. He's also under some quite large transfer bids of up to 6 million from Real Sociedad. Oh, in addition, Unai Emery was mouthing off in the press. They asked me about bringing Rugen Booty in, and they asked me if I was pillaging players from my former club, and I'm just like, never played a game for him, mate, calm down. But then I got a news article from Unai Emery saying that he was uninterested in Kim Min's ramblings, so that's good. Me and you are about to become bad people, Unai. Bad relationship. But I am interested in how Jalabert does through the middle, because I don't think I've actually played him there yet, and he does have very good finishing. So I wonder if maybe he was the missing link in this type of team, because one of the things I noticed when we were getting all those sort of XG merchantry towards the end of last season was that a lot of it was falling to our attacking mid, and the chances were being missed a little too often for me, and I wonder if just having someone like Jalabert in there could make a difference. But strong start from us, controlling the play, controlling everything. Connor Roberts' ball in. Back post for Strikic, has hit the crossbar and he's put it over the line. I don't know what Vlade Strikic was doing at the back post, just having a lovely little chill, and it's Dinamo Zagreb 0, Larn 1. Look, yeah, sure, why not, eh? Why not, eh? I feel like bloody Chris Kamara and I'm watching the damn game. Roberts with the ball in. Strikic does very well to rise at the back post. It then hits the goalkeeper in the face and falls straight to Strikic to slot us 1-0 up. We needed that. Just a nice early goal. Settle the nerves a bit. I feel like in games like this, it is important to just sort of settle ourselves down really quickly, and getting in front and looking good so far is a really good start to that. Longstaff. Simic. Pop one around the side maybe. Might go alone. He's got Roberts again over on this right. Mr. Assist Machine, Connor Roberts. Simic, Longstaff, and cleared away. Bit of a mess in the box there. And sometimes we're going to have to make sure that we get our set-piece efficiency up as Hodak now hits one off the crossbar. Well, half-time, we have like an offensive amount of possession. I feel like we should just give them a bit of that back just out of sheer, like, please, if we give you the ball for it, maybe you'll do something and then we can counter on you. Because a 1-0 lead is still very delicate in a game like this, despite them not having a shot yet. It only takes one shot to score a goal at the moment, and a second goal would be quite nice just to try to put that one to bed right now, because I just really don't know where we line up. Obviously, you'd expect us to win this fairly comfortably. Oh, that's oh, wow. Okay. Well, there we go. Dinamo Zagreb 2, Larn 0. Vlade Strikic getting on the end of another one. He does just seem to score goals when he plays as a pressing forward on support. I don't really know why, because we've never really had a striker that's been prolific while playing on that role in this system, but he just seems to play better when he's in that role. And You got to just accept that. It's 2-0. Good stuff. That's better. Going to make a couple of little subs, bring on Babic, just give some of the lads a little run out here, get Pavlich in as well for a second. Strock, that will be cleared away, but he'll bring that down, get Strock on as well, because I really do like this guy a lot, and I want to make sure that he doesn't get completely phased out. What a ball for Matty Longstaff. Simic is striking, it's in the back of the net. Rocco Simic makes it 3-0 to Dinamo, and that's good. Third goal is important for us in a tie like this, just to make sure that you get it over the line. I think a 3-0 home victory is fairly comfortable for us, and I think just going a bit more high intensity in the second half, and pushing it on them a little bit more. I've gone to attacking as well to really try and throw bodies forward, because I think we were being too ponderous against a weaker side, and maybe that's one of the things that's cost us, and we have to adapt a bit more, but it's 3-0. Good stuff. Yeah, don't give them an away goal, lads. Hopefully we can clear this and maybe get a counter-attack going. Good clearance. Strock does well there as well, and Strikic probably... Oh, he's got it! Go on, Vlade. Hat-trick for Vlad. Oh, he's just skinned his man, and he's on his left foot too, which is very nice. Vlade Strikic! Oh, what a finish. It's 3-0 to Dinamo, and this second half has just completely taken off. Yeah, I think we made the wrong choice with the way we started the game, but I think we've certainly worked our way into this quite nicely. 4-0 now to Dinamo Zagreb, a hat-trick for Vlade Strikic, and he's worked that by himself. One of the other things I'm thinking about with Strikic is he is left only, and I wonder if the fact that he's offset to the right is causing him some slightly difficult situations when it comes to finishing, because he's always going to be on a sort of right-footed angle. Getting those cohesion back. Babic on the right now. Is there more goals in here? Simic's ball through, and Strock will get this. He's got support from Candelaria. Ball in. Simic's header, and it's over the crossbar. Ooh. And that looks like it's going to do it in the end. I think a fairly dominant performance from us. Goalkeeper had to make a save right at the end because the centre-back once again just didn't track his runner. Is that going to be a yellow card? It is. And Scott Kelly has been sent off for Larne. That's certainly not going to help them come the second leg. But there you go. I think it's going to be a 4-0 victory for us, which is pretty standard, really. We just needed to get out there, get the victory in the end, and you can see that the second half definitely... Although, I mean, the thing is... I don't think we were that much better. I think we just took our chances a little bit better in the second half, showed a bit more pressure. But Vlade Strikic with a hat-trick is a very good sign for what's to come from him this season. And I think one of the main things that could lead to our success this year is keeping Vlade Strikic fit and keeping him at the damn club. Because I think he could be absolutely ruthless. I've never seen a player look as good as this in this shape. Now, again, because of our quality of opposition here, it's hard to say, but we'll definitely want to see how he does in the league games. And to be fair, he looked good when he played that role last year too. One of the things I've been looking at is this particular menu, just to see who our chances are actually falling to in this team. So you see that Longstaff had a few, but it was mostly falling to the likes of Strikic, and to be fair, he's overperformed slightly, but nevertheless, he was getting in the positions to have those chances, which is kind of what I want to see. Interesting that... Where's Jella there? Where is he? Didn't actually get a great deal of chances in this game, interestingly, but it could have just been because it's such a clustered game, but Strikic was superb. Big fan of that. And more importantly, he's had more shots than he's scored goals. He's not just like taking his one little chance. He's getting shooting opportunities, which is what I like to see. Next episode, in theory, we're through against Larne now. I think it's unlikely we're going to balls this up in the away game so badly that we go out now. So what I'm probably going to come back in the next episode is do, hopefully, games against HJK. Both legs, of course, because there'll be less stuff to talk about. And there'll obviously be league games in there as well. Because with this season, I really do want to focus on the European stuff. Because I understand that the league is not a foregone conclusion, but it definitely doesn't have the same intensity as some of the other leagues that we perhaps have managed in. But it's always difficult to find a balance with those things because... yeah, it just is. So, if you've enjoyed this and you're looking forward to the season, I bloody am. That was a nice performance. Then drop a like on the video, that would be superb. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, that'd be sick as well. I'll stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so go follow there as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for more transfers and hopefully, games against HJK. Revenge is on the cards, friends. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.